Hey everyone, it's me just popping on again and doing another video of just my thoughts and my journey. And I'm still pondering on labels. It's just a big trigger, a big word that causes reaction in me when people are labeled. They're labeled in, the group they're in as, I'm a Christian or I'm a mystic or I'm whatever religion, whatever journey, whatever spiritual awakening, psychics to whatever. It's just interesting to me that people label, and I understand you label to identify to where it's like, well, I don't want to go and give you my story, which I don't understand because I'm all about let's get to know each other by telling our stories versus this is the label, because when people give labels, then all the prejudgments and all that goes into, and it can hurt us, not always help us with labeling what we're doing. So I'm all about storytelling of who you are and who I am, to where we are known and can connect with others and have relationship. And that's what it's about, really, with prayer that we were taught in church is speaking. You got to speak and be known and let your request be made known unto God, right? And so it's always about speaking instead of labeling. And I think where me, for instance, as a Christian, got caught up with labels is, we label God as into what we read and what we hear by scripture or our own interpretation or the interpretation of pastors and ministers. And then we label God. We label him as good or bad, or whatever we label him as, well, I'm not good enough for him to hear me, or I messed up and I sinned, I do that, and and then we go off the label instead of the experience that we create, right? With God, because our experience filters through the labels. And so it got me thinking with, in my own journey. Yeah, I'm into learning a lot of different religions, a lot of different spiritual awakenings and mystics and all kinds of things, but I don't want to be labeled as, well, that's what she is. I just learn what I need to learn from it, and everybody's learning experience is different, and the way they learn and the way they process and the way they hear and their filters that they go through to learn, right? And so I'm just trying to drop everything and be free to hear everybody's story, who they are, how they learn, and different things. And be it, I hear a lot of people like, oh, the shadow work, you're doing shadow work. I don't know what it's called, and I'm not really big into, oh, it's this, so other people can do this type of work. I'm just like, this is what I'm doing. This is my story, and this is me becoming free. And I think when we tell our stories, other people hear what they need to hear instead of me telling them, hey, you need to do it and be labeled as this. But everybody has their own way, and some people really need those labels to help keep them secure. But this is me and my story and why I'm triggered, with labels. So if you're around me and you're like, oh, here she goes again, it's just where I'm at. And I'm working through it, and, and I'm okay with labels. I'm just triggered when people try to label me. So in that vein of label is, I was thinking about my trauma, with different things from my past, different traumas, and how we label it, as PTSD or, my sexual abuse or whatever. And then we have to label that as bad and as terrible and horrific and this and that. And I'm like, I'm not calling pain good, but pain can be the doorway to our healing, right? Is if we're open to the pain, sit with the pain, learn what we need to learn. And where I got stuck was, for me, with this trauma of my childhood, of trying to figure out and trying to remember all the memories, because there's a lot of memories I don't have. And so trying to remember and figure it out, and all the things, right? If I could just understand. And today it just hit me as, even in my trauma, and the birds fighting behind me there, the energy of the trauma of all this is, as I heard it said today, is that's my trauma. And I'm like, that's right. The trauma is my trauma. It is special to me. My experience and my trauma only happened to me. Yeah, it's different for everybody, but it's my trauma. It's like I held it dearly. Not as a prized possession, but as a treasured possession. Because the little girl that experienced the different traumas, is that I need to hold her dearly. Because I'm labeling her as that trauma in this particular time of my life, and it's like I'm doing the very thing that upsets me, right? I'm labeling her, my little girl, as, oh, that part of my life, that's trauma. Trauma, trauma, trauma. No. Why do I have to label it? And being okay with treasuring that. Hearing the story of, not like, I need to hear the story so I can figure it out. Just, it is what it is. It's what I do with it now. And am I labeling it? Or do I just embrace it? Embrace that little girl within me that did the very best she could. That, didn't know it was wrong at the time. And just, be with her. And let her be however she wants to be with it. Instead of trying to label it. And everybody's different with their own trauma. What I'm doing is not for everybody. I get that. But I'm just sharing it. Maybe it'll make sense to you, but my hope is you get to know me better. And maybe one day you'll share your story for me to get to know you better. And so anyway, that's just kind of where I'm at with the whole labeling and being okay, because I get it with marketing and selling your product, be it church, be it whatever it is. You have to label it to sell it, right? I even do that with my women's beach retreat, is Inside Out Ministries International, women's retreat. Go look it up. So I get it. We label in life. That's just who we are as humans. But I just don't want to be attached to the label to where I live in a box and I can't live life outside of the box, because another part of my trauma, being my experience in the church, is being in that church Christian box and not being outside the box. Because, the parts of ministry I heard in my interpretation was, don't get outside the box, it's scary, that's where Satan is, and he's just going to snatch you up, and all these bad things. You stay in the box, whatever the box is that we were learning and making sure it all fit nicely in the way the Bible was interpreted. And so it's like, I was so dang scared to get outside of that box because of the label, what I'd be labeled as, and whatever. And I'm finding so much freedom outside the box. I can be in the box and outside the box. I can do it all. And kind of reminds me of that song, I'm a woman. What is it? WOMAN. So anyway, I can do it all. Bring on the bacon and fry it up in the pan. But if you really know me, you know I can't do that because I'm a horrible cook. So, but living outside the box of boundaries and following my heart and my intuition, um, be it spirit led, whatever words work for you, but being led from here to know that is good for me, this is not good for me. And living with that experience that I have with my connection to God, to the divine, rather than what are the rules of the label that I put myself in. Break free. Live outside the box, whatever the box that was put on you, that you're living in. And it is scary as, yes, but I believe in you. The universe believes in you. God believes in you. You're created for such a time as this. So anyway, have a good day. Bye.